Let's dive right in. Welcome to episode 8 of Macro Top Checking with Drae. Very, very excited for this episode because, as you know, every week, or roughly every week, we look at the whole market as a whole, not just crypto, but everything. Because understanding how the other markets are doing actually has relevance to crypto as well. That's one edge that many people miss. Too many people focus purely on the charts of crypto when they could be looking at the charts of other areas, but also the fundamental analysis of other areas. Because yeah, as I said, it all has relevance to crypto. But yeah, the last one I did was on the 5th of September. The one we're going to be doing today is from yesterday, from the 14th of September. At least here in Bali, that's the date. A couple notes that I've done recently that are interesting. It's like in terms of the S&P, Speed, the influencer, if you guys know him, you know the streamer, he was in New York talking to one of Wall Street's most famous traders, and that Wall Street guy was basically just shilling stocks. It was like, oh yeah, because you got to buy assets and you got to buy stocks, and context matters, right? Context is that S&P is hitting after all-time high after all-time high. It's entering an area where I actually think it's going to be reacting to soon enough. Speed's biggest audience is retail, right? So that's a classic top signal, which is retail being shilled to at a mass scale. I've also found it extremely interesting that a lot of influencers, mainstream influencers, they're all saying that like by the end of the year is when you need to be out. Like they're all saying that Q4 is going to be bullish. I actually think it's going to play out a lot quicker than that. I think it's going to be perhaps the next 4 to 6 weeks that are very, very, very big. How long would 2 months be? It's September. Wait, no, October, November. Yeah, nah. I think 6 to 7 weeks max, bro, of upside. And that doesn't sound like long, but keep in mind, man, like things can happen really quickly, okay? Like if we've learned anything, guys, it's that things can happen really quickly. Like we're having similarities right now, in fact, to ETH in its later stages when, okay, let's see, from here to here, how long was that? Say, for example, right here, 26th of January to the top here, 45 days, but like, it's nothing, right? 45 days is nothing, but look how much it pumped. It pumped, bro, 84%. And as you know, with altcoins, right? With altcoins, this first half of the move with ETH was moving altcoins up, nicely, but nothing crazy. The crazy part happened from here to here. In fact, if anything, it was a bit more from like here to here, which is even less time. And so my point is, you have to remember the rule that like 80% of the price action happens in 20% of the time. And I think that's what we're going to start seeing now. I mean, Ethereum's obviously already up a lot from the lows. And that's giving me similar vibes from like, here to here, right? But it's going to be in this last final parabolic leg where it starts actually entering price discovery, which it's just, I believe based on everything I'm saying, it's going to happen. But yeah, as it enters price discovery, just like from here to here, this wasn't price discovery, but it was like that real crazy parabolic action. I think when that happens here, that's when alts will really start to see rotations. And we're already starting to see it, as I've been saying in... I've been making a couple posts on my Twitter here and there, and also I've been keeping up with my journaling every week. Like altcoins have been slowly, steadily moving up, while nobody has really been expecting it, other than me and a couple other chads, of course. But I do think things are about to go crazy. They're showing really, really, really clean price actions, these charts. So, look, I got my alert sets everywhere I can. You know what? No, I missed one here. Let me just monitor. I paid. TradingView had an offer recently. I think it's expired now, but it was a really big offer. It was like a 50%, 70% or something a discount. So I got like a more expensive than usual plan because now I can have like a fuck ton of alerts, like a lot. Like my max before was 20. Now I can have like 400 or unlimited. I don't know. But so always set alerts, guys, on everything. So guys, like I don't think Q4 will be bullish. I think it's just too much consensus. Everybody's been saying, oh yeah, be fully out by the end of the year. I think a huge bull trap and just max pain. It's going to be actually the start of next year actually up. And I'm not sure if it'll be a dead cat bounce or not, or if it will just be like a new all-time high. And if it's just like a weak one or small one. But yeah, like everyone, I'm telling you, based on what I'm seeing, everyone's like, oh yeah, like bullish Q4, be out by the end of the year. I don't think so, man. I think, here's the thing, guys, like, Wales, for them to win, they need to trap as many people as possible. I think the way for them to do that is, one, for the people that are extremely bullish, that just want to hodl, they're going to get cooked, right? Because they think all of Q4 is going to be bullish when it's only going to be the next maybe 4 to 7 weeks. Meanwhile, obviously people that aren't really expecting a move up soonish are going to get priced out. But what was the other part I was going to say? Yeah. That's how Wales win, man. Wales win by just trapping as many people as possible. And I think if we were to pump, that's what I was going to say, if we were to pump again next year, start of the year, for a bit, say January or February or March, that'd be a huge shakeout. And like people would FOMO back in again, thinking, oh no, you know what, we're wrong. It's actually bullish Q1. And then people get fucked again at the very top. Just classic. But playbook does seem similar to February 2024 right now in terms of the charts. Other than that, interestingly enough, one of the smartest guys I follow on Twitter, he reckons that we're in like a similar cycle now to 2017. And so I actually wasn't in crypto back in 2017. I found out of crypto for the first time in 2018, like January 2018, because of my uncle. He was trading fucking Bitcoin at like a Disneyland park or something. So he was a classic retail top signal back then, I guess. That's when he probably found out about it. You know what? Maybe not. He was in it since like 2017. I remember my uncle was like mining Bitcoin in like Venezuela and shit. Anyways, that's irrelevant. Point is, so this other influencer guy, he thinks that it's going to be similar to 2017. If we're looking at 2017, I mean, right now we're in September, right? In fact, it's funny. Right now we're the 15th of September, which is right here. This candle right here. It would be very poetic if we just right now just start absolutely fucking ripping, like with actual Bitcoin. Obviously, bro, no, there's no chance. I don't think Bitcoin does anywhere near fucking 5x. Haha. No way, man. It's just too much money. That will make too many people happy, and too many people will win off that. But we can definitely expect parabolic action. I mean, you can go parabolic without doing a bunch of X's, right? Especially on an asset like Bitcoin that's just so big now. So, look, based on what I'm seeing here, I mean, we're in a bit of a megaphone pattern. We had a wedge here, broke out cleanly with a 1-to-1 extension. That was perfect, actually, by the way. That's fucking nuts. I just realized. Yeah. But now we're in another... oh no, wait a second. That's a 1-to-1 extension for here. Yeah, so now we're in like a megaphone pattern. Mid kind of range here. So, I mean, a 1-to-1 extension is here. And a 1-to-1 extension of the other one, which is all the way from here to here. Yeah, look at this, ready? From here to here, 1-to-1 extension is from here to here. That's like 145K. Which would make sense because a lot of people are going to be waiting, for example, for $150,000 to take profit at a very clean number. They will get front run, between 141 to 145, they will just get front run. Ow. Bit my lip. So, you know what I mean? That's how whales win. They front run people. So I think, I'll write a little note here actually. Yeah. So, oopsie dozy. So Wales are going to front run 150,000. That's what I'm right here. Wales may front run 150K macro top. Nice. See how it just makes sense once you connect the dots and start to think from a whale's point of view? Wouldn't that make so much sense? I mean, think about it. If you're a whale, you want to top at 150,000? Of course not. There's really only two options. One, you front run all those people and sell before them, that's a macro top. Or you blow straight past 150. And because of greed, right? Once you blow past 150, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, that means, 200's coming. That means 250 coming. Maybe even 175, maybe they think in those intervals. So maybe they shake them, they end up topping, say, here. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. What I do know is that from these lows, I've been accurate. I've been telling you exactly what I think back here on my Telegram channel. Yeah, so it's been doing exactly as I thought. Pump, retrace, pump, A bit of a reaction here at the mid-range. Reaction here. But yeah, I do think we're about to go crazy. Even though Bitcoin looks like it's going to go up, I still obviously think Ethereum's going to outperform. I mean, if we look at Ethereum BTC, yeah, like probably a bit more choppy, and then whoop, bro, shut up. We get it. It's the morning. Well, it's not even the morning. It's 1 p.m. Why the fuck are you? Yeah. So, brush, yeah, I'm probably thinking like, woo, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Bullish TA. So, yeah, by the way, don't fade Ledger, bro. Oh my goodness gracious. Don't fade Ledger. Woo, don't fade Ledger, boys and ladies. All right, so now that we got those little notes out the way, let me just show you the overall, because here's the thing, guys. Every week, I track many things, and it takes me a few hours. And so obviously, I don't need to show you every single exact minute detail. I could go through it quickly. But first, I want to show you just a quick overall summary of everything based on all the qualitative data I track and all the quantitative data I track. And if you have fucking a brain cell or not, you know what those means. You know, it means like a written data, right? And just like things about behavior, sentiments, Quantitative data will just be numbers and charts and stuff, right? So look, I actually collect all of my own data and I just give it to ChatGPT. ChatGPT just gives like a clean summary of like what I'm thinking, where we are, okay? But here it is real quick. So right now we're in like late expansion to early acceleration, which makes perfect sense. Late expansion, early acceleration makes perfect sense because we just broke out of a huge range, right? Which means we're in late expansion because we're like in expansion phase. But acceleration is when you really start entering price discovery, and that's when you really go parabolic. Like acceleration, that's what acceleration is. So the all-time high is right here. We already wicked above the all-time high. So that's great. We wicked above all-time high. So the real acceleration is going to be once we finally close above here and just start sending it. Yeah. And interestingly, before I forget, I wrote this note yesterday. 6K to 6.5K. I think 6.5K is very, very, very. That's gonna be like that's gonna be the top. But what I was gonna say is, I think it's a very, very fair conservative top, and the reason for that is because, think about it, people want clean numbers. Like if someone's buying the range high, right, which a lot of people did, for them to like double their money, which is a clean exit for a lot of retail, they would need, right, let's look at it. So say they bought here. They would need between here to here, between 7.4 to 8.4. And the thing is, are elites and smart money just going to let retail all be out of the clean 2x? I don't think so, man. I think they're going to front run all of them. And so even when we look at one-to-one, can you hear that? Like, is it just me? Like, fuck, it's loud. So if you look at one-to-one extensions of like, for example, this range, where's the one-to-one extension at? Yeah, so from here to here, it's about between here to here, 6K to 6.5K, yeah. Let me show you this really clean range. So you got, this is the big range. That's a big one-to-one extension, which is perfectly around this fib level here. Then you got the more short-term range, which is here with the deviation here, from here to here. That one's all the way up to 6K. So it's very, very clean TA, man, and charts and like one-to-one extensions. But again, I think 6.5K makes a lot of sense as a macro top because everyone's going to be waiting for like that clean 2x, between 7.5 to 8.5 grand, whatever. But dude, smart money and elites, they're not going to be up 2x. They're going to be up a lot more. They're going to be up from like here, from fucking the bear market lows. That's just how they operate, bro. Like they're big, cool bags. Yeah. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Overall though, look, so Google Trends data shows that it's mostly at 20s to 30s. Obviously the main score being 100. So it's still pretty low. There's been no unified 40 to 50 spikes alongside the charts yet. Coinbase is at 20 and the overall app download ranking is at 272. So it's been rising a bit over the weeks, but it's still not euphoric or max at all. Fear and greed has finally started rising. In the previous weeks, as I'll get into, in previous weeks was actually showing a bearish divergence. But through my analysis, and I was telling this to you guys, I was realizing that it was actually very, very bullish. The fact that fear and greed was going down as prices were going up. But now I think the roles are going to reverse, and now I think it's going to actually show convergence. I think now as price actually goes up, fear and greed will follow as well, and I'll explain why later. But yeah, like stablecoin dominance charts are rolling over now. They're starting to roll over. They held the really, really important resistance lines that we had drawn out before, like this one here. Now it's just very, very clean. Even like this is exactly the price action you want to see. It's very clean. Again, we held this line, which is very, very important. I remember my last journal update. I did it when price was around here, and I was like, I remember the emotion. I was feeling a little bit nervous. I was like, fuck, like what if it breaks out? But it's interesting because that's exactly how you feel at the extremes, at the top and bottom. Like, yeah, so luckily I kept my composure. My analysis was solid. We still held below here. That's perfect. Now we should see continuation downwards. Interestingly, based on the short-term pivots, if you can hear that fucking rooster, I'm sorry, all right? I'm sorry, but it's all right. We're going to get rich anyways. Just keep listening. So these fib pivots point down to the bottom of this range, which makes a lot of sense. It should hold as a strong support. We'll probably see like a short-term reaction. And then I reckon, honestly, continuation downwards. I think so. To me, it doesn't make sense for this being the actual absolute macro bottom. I think the euphoria, in fact, will be once we break that support and keep going down on this stablecoin chart. But yeah, so retail awareness in general, it's on. Like it's starting to actually bubble up, but it's nowhere near a blow off top. And the reason I say retail awareness is on here is because Google Trends data is starting to go up. Coinbase app download rankings are starting to go up. The charts are obviously starting to grind up a little bit. So people are starting to find out, okay? In terms of all the narratives and stuff, yeah, it looks like short term the narrative is going to be that like they want to pump it because of all the rate cuts, odds, the soft data. Yeah. Meanwhile, it's very interesting because as I've been talking about in my previous videos, like I think gold's going to start outperforming everything, and it's going to be a gold regime, right? In fact, it already has been. That's the thing. It already has been. I think it's just going to become to an even greater extent over the next few years. But if you've been paying attention, like gold has already been outperforming. Like, let me show you because I added recently some. That's the thing, guys. I've said this before, but real wealth is not in how much dollar value things go up. It's in how much in real terms your things go up. Not nominal terms, but real terms. And real terms means, are you actually outperforming or are you just getting rich on paper? So for example, I recently added a bunch of ratios to my trading view. For example, I added the S&P versus gold. And even if you look at this, right, since 2021, equities, since November 2021, equities have been underperforming gold, which means if you were holding gold since then, you'd be making more money. You'd actually be getting richer, yeah, so there's that. So this and even now this looks very topped, bro. Like this looks shit. Okay. Gold versus S&P versus gold looks very weak. Very weak, habibi. Very weak. Yeah. So yeah. It looks very distributive though, doesn't it? You got this very weak kind of support here. Got this curving top here. It looks very distributive for sure. But what else? Yeah, and then we have the reverse. So now gold against S&P. And you can see that on the flip side, it looks bottomed out. It looks very bullish. Like one could safely say this looks bullish, And so that's how you get perspective, So yeah, there you go. Now you can see that it looks like gold's going to be outperforming. Bro, even against real estate in the US, even against USA real estate, like, bro, since 2015, gold has been outperforming American real estate. Like, isn't that just nuts? Think about it. That's nuts. You know what I'm saying? That's nuts. Like, look at it this way. Real estate relative to gold since 2015 is down 70%, or 66%. 66%. And sure, it looks bottomed here right now. It looks bottomed, but the chart looks very weak, man. And that's why with these Elliott waves, I drew that it's probably going to go down here. And so, yeah, you're probably wondering what these mean, like why I'm saying it's real estate. They're basically the two, like America's two biggest like ETFs, like REIT ETFs, So it definitely represents they're the two biggest ones, the two biggest firms. So this represents American real estate for sure. Sure, there are REITs, but still represents everything. But look how weak it looks, man. Scary stuff, bro. Scary stuff. Yeah, I don't think they'll hold. Sure, maybe short term, but nah, like, yeah, that's cooked, man. That's actually cooked, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah, wow. So yeah, this continuing to break down means that gold's just gonna outperform real estate even more in US. Even if you look at this, dude, like it's kind of funny, but look at this. The literal inflation data, like the official inflation data since 1920. This is 1920, by the way. Not 2020, but 1920. Look how it's just coiling up. Like, look at this. Bro, like, TA works and everything. I'm serious. Like, TA works and everything. This will break out. And when this breaks out, man, max pain, dude. Most people are going to get fucked, dude. And it's scary because most people aren't going to be positioned. And based on everything I'm seeing, right, the fact that it looks like stagflation is coming, the fact that I was actually reading with ChatGPT. It turns out then, like, when stagflation happens, it's not always just like this. What can happen first, oftentimes, is actually a depression first, and then it kind of it moves. What's it called? It just transcends into a stagflation, and so it would make sense, right? Because in a depression, what would happen first is all these equities and everything, they actually crash first. And then they start recovering on paper, they start going back up. But again, real terms versus nominal terms. In real terms, by the time that starts happening, even if equities start grinding up again, they're going sideways even if it looks like you're up, say, I don't know, 20, 40% on paper, it will be gold that will be up hundreds of percents. And just look at history, because that's exactly what's happened every time, like, the regimes have changed. The actual, like, long-term macro outlook for quite a while. Because, yeah, man, like, this isn't going to be the type of thing for a year or two. Like, it's going to be a thing for a while, like 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. Probably 10 to 15. I mean, the last lost decade that equities had, I think it lasted 15 years. I think it was from, like, 2001 to 2015. They were just basically sideways. Like, sure, it was like in a huge macro range, but it was sideways. Meanwhile, metals were actually outperforming and just mooning. So look at history, man. Look at history. One account I've told you about before that I really like, and I'm going to subscribe to his paid thing soon. It's Astra... Fuck, what's it called? Wait, following... Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Here you go, North Star. Yeah, this guy. Here's the one that opened my eyes and showed me that dominations are everything that matter. Not just the chart itself. It's about, like, comparing them to different things. So, yeah. But as we've been talking about crypto too recently, the fact that Bitcoin dominance looks like it's finally going to break down. The fact that altcoins are now officially breaking out against Bitcoin, total 2. So that's cool. Let's look at total 2 itself, not compared to Bitcoin, but just itself. Yeah, so it recently did wick above a new all-time high. It's pretty cool. A very low-key, very quiet, little alt season has been happening. Yeah, it wicked and it closed. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. But, look, relative to Bitcoin, it's broken out. And so last time it broke out above this this red imagery cloud thingy was here. That was a fake out though. It dumped a lot. But based on everything I'm saying, that's not going to happen. This isn't a fake out. Like, this is a real move. So I'm assuming we're probably here. Yeah. But, yeah, man. Anyways, let's move. What else? Yeah, Pump Fund has been pumping. I think I made a tweet on this. Maybe I didn't. But let me just show you. Like, I've had this note on the Pump Fund chart for like a couple months now. And it's fascinating to see because, look at this. Look at this. I wrote this on my chart a couple months ago. I wrote, depending on market timing, approaching or reaching a new all-time high may be a top signal, or parabolic price action may be for a top. So here's the thing, context always matters, right? The chart has been going parabolic. It has, into price discovery and a new all-time high, but macro context matters. Like, the euphoria in the overall market's still not in. And so all I see this as is like a very strong hint and sign that things are about to start going crazy and that, like, what's it called? Things are about to start going crazy. And for example, I might expect that a lot of the profits from this coin, from smart money whales, they'll probably be rotated to like other smaller caps and shit coins on Solana. I'd expect that. But Yeah, like this is good. Like this pumping, it's good because it shows that like the top is coming. It's just not in yet. Does that make any sense? Like, yeah, this is look. This is a sign. Simply put, this is definitely a sign that the markets are about to start heating up a lot, and like the top is soon. Like the top is soon for sure. Okay. So yeah. Um, a lot of very sus things recently over the past week, as you know. Like I've made tweets on it, I think. But yeah, very, very sus. Like, for example, like we had that Ledger hack where like Ledger as in like the hardware wallet, like the actual fucking company, like, you know what I mean? They were saying that, oh yeah, there's been a hack on the blockchain and don't make any transactions. And that was like here, right before the market was starting to move. Same thing, like there was a huge flood here in Bali. Just weird shit, weird shit. The world's a matrix, man. I don't even know what to say. But yeah, like, yeah, yeah. The overall summary is that we're in late expansion, and the real top it's gonna be when retail finally shows up, like everywhere at once. While stablecoin dominance charts are hitting support levels, and so yeah, you're gonna need to sell into that strength. So what I think I'll do now, I'm not sure if I should go over my notes or if I should make a thread on them now. Let me just quickly go through them. I think I'll tell you just the most fascinating, interesting parts. You know what? I'll just go over the most interesting, fascinating parts real quick. So first of all, Ethereum has been slowly mooning over the past week. Lots of interesting events, as I said. There was a huge flood in Bali that got lots of media attention in Asia. I'm assuming, by the way. I'm assuming that part. Then the day after, Charlie Kirk got assassinated, right? And it's funny because the day before Charlie Kirk, well, it's not funny, it's crazy. The day before Charlie Kirk got assassinated, I made like a little bit of a conspiracy video talking about how every time the crypto market has been at very big pivot points, March 2024, in like the bottom area, last year, when Bitcoin was at the macro lows, the LA fires in January, right? LA fires in January, and now this Bali flood. It's like they're all at really huge, important pivot points on the charts, and it's like, is that coincidence or what? But yeah, volatility was very low before those events happened here. Then they started happening, and then boom, markets were slowly going up. The FOMC is in 3 days, and what I'm thinking is that social conditioning for it is going to be a pump, just like last time. Like last time when Jerome Powell, was it Jerome Powell? Yeah, last time he said that rate cuts are going to be happening and that it's bullish, whatever. Social conditioning was huge pump. People were trying to think that it's bullish. I think it's going to happen one more time. I think they're going to pump it one more time again, big time on that news. And then an outer validation will be the charges continuing to move. Everyone's going to be like, oh my God, this is just the start. Rate cuts, economy's going to be amazing, da 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 da. Narrative validation will be the charts pumping for a few weeks, maybe 4 to 7 weeks, as I said. And then maybe there'll be another news about rate cuts or like some other like big news about the economy. People think, oh my God, even more bullish. And then boom, that's when they pull the plug. Because social conditioning is like you teach people something, then you validate it so that they believe you. And then when it really matters most, which for example is at the top of the market, that's when they rog you. That's when it's like, you know what, fuck this. No, they switch and reverse the roles. And so that's what I'm thinking is going to be happening. It makes a lot of sense to me, especially based on the chart. So yeah, they're going to lure many people in through narrative validation, starting to bring in the classic top signals like immense political support on Ethereum and altcoins. I also noticed that XRP has many ETF decision dates in mid-October, which may be classic top signals. It aligns well with the overall top time I've been considering too. So you know what? I'm going to add those notes right there to my XRP chart. That's a big advice I'd say, guys. Always, like, if you can, take notes on your actual, like, charts. Like, on the actual chart itself, take notes. Let me just... Okay, I'll write that note here. XRP has... There you go. There you go, Habibi. Make that orange. I'll set an alert for that one. I'll set an alert, of course. Always set alerts, boys and girls. Another alert here. Honestly, like, it depends, like, how quickly this move happens. But, bro, like, it's like a 50% move, and retail's holding that shit. Yeah, like, that probably will mark the top, honestly. By the time price is here, yeah, and as we're right here, XRP and inflection points is very likely an overall market top because XRP is heavily retail friendly. So XRP mooning means retail's in, like literally. So yeah, yeah. Overall, what else is interesting? Yeah, well, I drew Fibonacci pivot expansions on the recent like pivots that USDT dominance had. And what I found fascinating was, well, first of all, it's just reacting perfectly at all these important pivot points, like this one especially. Perfect. Beautiful. But what I found interesting, ready, boom, 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 is that the actual bottom there aligns with this huge key area, which would be like a 3 drives kind of pattern. So I don't know if you guys know what a 3 drives pattern is, but it usually happens at bottoms and tops. And it's just like, ready, 1 drive, 2 drives, 3 drives. It's like, you know, it's like fucking you. And so there's confluence, bro. Like everything's about confluence, and there's a lot of confluence right there. What I'm thinking is price might close here, but maybe we'll have some crazy wicks really quick down here. I think that's like our best case scenario, honestly. I think that's the best case scenario, that we do end up chilling around here. We have a few wicks, you know? Because that's the thing, the 3 drives doesn't need to be perfectly clean. It doesn't need to be perfectly clean. It doesn't need to, for example, close here, could close here, could close here, could even close here, but it's still a rough area of the 3 drives. At this point here and here, it wouldn't be a 3 drives. That's why I'm thinking a close of the candle could be here to make it look legit, but some wicks here. Monitor for confluence. If it looks like market is topped, then fucking exit. Don't wait for lower. There you go. That's the thing, guys, like always stick to charts, not what you want to happen. Like that's one of my biggest mistakes in the past. It's like just getting blind to the charts and instead of thinking about what I want to happen or just coping instead. It's like, bro, you got to be ruthless. You got to be fucking very, very methodical and like, what's the word? Just, yeah, like, let's focus on charts, right? Let's leave it at that. What else? Yeah, so others in total 3, as I've showed you this chart before in the past, guys. This represents small caps relative to total 3, like in terms of which one is more market share, right? So the interesting developments recently is that on the 2-day chart, and by the way, I was looking at the 2-day chart because on the 1-day chart, it was very messy. And so that's another big of advice, guys. Like always look at charts on different time frames until you find something clean. Because that's how smart money moves, you know. Like they know that everybody's looking at the daily charts. Why would they make moves obvious? No, they don't work that way. But on the 2-day chart, we had a clean breakout. All those with below average volume. Breakout of this. And then long term, we have a huge other long-term resistance line, which is this one. Ready? Boom, boom, boom. And so we're very close to that one as well. And so context is a lot more interesting because will small caps really start to outperform big caps unexpectedly? And will they pump all the way back up to like the range highs, you know, here? Like we have the breakout and then boom all the way here. Or will we just macro top at a lower high, for example, here or here, and then make it like a crazy bull trap for altcoin people thinking like the biggest altcoin season of all time is coming. So like based on everything I've seen on a high time frame, I actually think that the mid-range makes more sense. The mid-range. So I did Fibonacci retracement level from here to here. The mid-range, the 0.5 level, equilibrium is around here. And I think that makes the most sense. And there's a lot of confluence for it too. I mean, even like this huge long-term, you know, flag, right? A 1-to-1 extension of the pole, right? From here to here, it aligns with this box. And what I love is like in that box, purely based on like price analysis alone, that, you know, it would be a very, very big top. Like, there's a lot of supply in this area. A lot of whales were selling here, as you know. I mean, price was grinding back up. And then here was like where they were selling right before the dump. Right before the dump. So that's where whales were exiting. But then again, everything's probabilities, right? I mean, fuck. We could, in theory, pump all the way back up to like here, where whales were selling as well, from here to here, here. Whales were selling here to here, for sure. And they're sold back here on the retest as well. Which aligns with these fibs here. So yeah, like, nothing's guaranteed. Not saying we're definitely going to top it, but it's most likely. Everything's about probabilities. And it's always good to have a reminder about that. But yeah. I think so. Here was the fundamental analysis reasoning I wrote here. I think on high time frames, the mid range is most realistic and makes most sense. Because it would trap both sides. It would make most sense for it to like top there because it trap both sides. The ones not expecting altcoins to do much will get wrecked. Also, the ones thinking the biggest alt season of all time will get wrecked, Because people thinking, altcoins are shit, no, whatever. They'll get priced out, they'll get fucked over when price pumps here and here, right? But then everyone thinking that we're going to go absolutely even more parabolic to like the range highs or even above, whatever, they'll get screwed over as well. So I think that's a perfect trap around in the middle for both. Yeah. So a lot of confluence for that mid-range. What else? Yeah, so Google Trends, I noticed that, you know what I found really interesting? I noticed that, here, let me show you. The cool words to do with like retail tracing, like, crypto bull run, buy crypto, how to buy crypto, no, not really how to buy crypto, but like crypto pump, crypto bull run, buy crypto. I noticed that those are actually going down and very stagnant. No, let me rephrase that, sorry, no, wait. What I noticed that I find really interesting is that since last week, the Google Trends data for keywords like crypto bull run, buy crypto, crypto pump, they've been going up, which means retail's starting to notice that crypto's starting to go up. They're starting to notice they're a bit interested. But what I noticed is that even though those are going up slightly, the ones that actually have to do with entering and buying and actually doing something, they're stagnant and even dropping, which is just classic human psychology. It's like people want to wait for prices to move first for them to then FOMO in. And so that's why I love collecting all this data, because you can literally see the numbers. It's like the ones to do with exchanges like Coinbase app, best crypto exchange, Binance KuCoin. Those Google Trends data have been going down. Meanwhile, the ones to do with price going up, like crypto pump, crypto bull run, buy crypto, those have been going up. So it's like people are noticing, people know, but it's like they don't want to FOMO in yet. It's classic human psychology. It's amazing to see. It's fascinating to see right there firsthand. So yeah, they're basically waiting for it to move first to get in. Fucking idiots. But that's it. There are exit liquidity, boys. All right, here's the really interesting thing I want to talk about the fear and greed. So the fear and greed, it's actually up for the first time in a while on like a high time frame. It's up from last week-ish to now from 41 to 52. And it makes sense because Google Trends data and the Coinbase Finance app scores are also slightly higher, which means, as I said, retail is definitely taking notes. The thing that's been really interesting is that on a high time frame from May, from around, from here, let me show you. May here, May 2025, like from here. Just watch my mouse, from here. So, fear and greed index has been going down since May this year. Meanwhile, Ethereum has been going up a lot. And that has been acceptable for me because it makes a lot of sense. Whales wanted to ensure that retail was sidelined on the entire move up. Obviously, no shit. They're not just going to let retail buy the lows and buy the big wave up alongside whales. No, they're all greedy. They kept it all for themselves. That's why along that move up, there was two things that happened. One, there was a lot of like psyops and confusion and mixed sentiment just in general, right? And that was, designed on purpose by smart money, by whales, by the elites. But what was interesting as well is that the actual move up happened very quick, which is another reason why people were silent, because it happened so quick. People they weren't sure if I should get in or not, and a lot of them ended up being sidelined, But now context has changed, right? And this is where this is fascinating, man. This is where understanding of the market as a whole and everything as a whole is really important to have. Now context has changed because now that we've actually broken above a huge macro range at 4K, right? Whales now, they want to start dumping on people. They want to start expanding price so that they can distribute into retail strength, into retail FOMOing, you know, because whales need to sell to somebody. Before, they were just buying it up. You know, before they were just doing a huge quick move. Retail was sidelined with the fear and greed going down along this whole... Isn't that fascinating? Most people probably don't even know this because they don't track the data, like, but I've been doing it. You know, as I said, guys, it was the start of this year where I realized that I didn't want to be someone just randomly, cluelessly holding my coins and relying upon news or some random fucking influencer about their thoughts. I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. And so I collated as much things as I could that were relevant and most important to track. And not to mention, even did it in order of importance. As you've probably noticed, like the order of importance has been like Ethereum, stablecoin dominance charts, you know, and going down in order of like importance, right? And all of these things I've kind of figured out on my own in terms of the most important things to track. But the point is, nobody ever thought about, you know what, how about we track fear and greed relative to charts? People don't realize that there could be divergences. And that was an idea I got at the start of the year. And man, I feel like a fucking genius now in hindsight because it's working, it was paying off. Price from here to here was going up. Fear and greed was going down. Isn't that fascinating, bro? Look here, look here. So just look from here onwards. Fear and greed was trending downwards. Meanwhile, price was mooning a lot. But yeah, let me tell you more. This is fascinating. So now I'm expecting fear and greed to stop showing a negative divergence, and now I expect it to start converging with upward movements, as it's already been since, you know, the past like week or so. As I said, it's up from 41 to 52. Meanwhile, price is also up. So now I think it's when fear and greed starts converging. And that's the thing. Like, fear and greed has been doing lower highs, right? See, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. But I think it's going to, like, cleanly break out once Ethereum starts entering price discovery. And it's funny because fear and greed represents sentiment, right? Sentiment has actually been compressing. It's been compressing, right? Because you have lower high, lower high. You know, got the high, low, high, low, high, low. And isn't that fascinating? Like, you can literally chart the sentiment. The sentiment's compressing, compressing, compressing. It probably just needs price to go parabolic for the sentiment to fall and be like, euphoria, just boom, euphoria, you know? So I think sentiment's been compressing and a breakout would make sense alongside ETH price discovery. And then to wreck even more people, it would be just a sudden macro top. Like 2017, instead of it being like a very, very big distributive top, like 2021. Was 2021 a very distributive top? I think it was. Yeah, 21 was fairly distributive. I mean, you had here, then you had here, then you had here. You know, you had this whole, like, ready? Like the whole, this, you know, pretty distributive. But 2017, look at 2017. Look at that. Look at that, just a straight up pump and dump. That's what I reckon is going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. I think this cycle, because of just the mass participation that's in, and if this ends up being the macro top, I think Max Payne is just a huge unexpected macro top and that's it. Not the whole distributive slow pump like we had in distribution like we had in 2021. I think it's more likely like 2017. So yeah, and then we could probably just have a dead cat bounce to trap a lot of people, or maybe even like a slight new week all-time high. But I mean, for example, yeah, so this top was like January, dumped a lot, then we had a fake pump end of the month. Yeah, we actually pumped like 69% from the lows. Is that coincidence? Is that just elites trolling? Like they pumped to 69% of all things and they dumped it. Like, are they trolling? Think about it, man. Sometimes these things aren't coincidence, bro. I'm serious. It sounds funny, but yeah. Serious. These things aren't coincidence. Elites, smart money, like they love to fuck around with people, bro. That's why they're low-key evil. But yeah, one of the smartest guys I follow, he reckons that price will go up in Chinese New Year, which is in February next year. Thing is, I'm just thinking it'll be a huge bull trap because nobody will be expecting a pump in Q1 next year because, as I said, everyone thinks it will be just the end of Q4. But also, people get trapped because they'll be like, oh my god, I was wrong. No, we're going to pump again. We're going to fucking extended cycle, moon cycle, super cycle, super cycle. Then they're going to get in and then they buy the top again. Beautiful. GG's elites, GG's. I'm starting to understand the game alongside you, my whales, my fellow, my N-words, my G's. So yeah, as I said here, like Bitcoin dominance on high time frame, it looks promising. So it looks promising, but we're very far from like big macro reactions like here, right? Like big reaction, like pivot points. And so I wrote here, like, will whales make it that easy? Like, will they make it as easy as just, you know, Bitcoin dominance dumping all the way here, all altcoins just pump a fuck ton of oil, get rich. I said here, I think it'll only be like easy if, well, I said here, I think, wait, what did I say here? Will whales make it that easy? I think only if rotations between altcoins are much more difficult than masses expect. Exactly, yeah. So I do think altcoins will go up a lot from here to here. I do think that, yes, based on the charts. But what I think is that, as I said here, the rotations between the altcoins is going to be a lot more difficult. On that note, I think what's going to happen is like Ethereum's going to lead the majority, and stablecoins are actually going to absorb a lot of the Bitcoin dominance. Because that's the thing, guys. Like Bitcoin dominance just purely means Bitcoin market share is going down. That doesn't mean the money's just flowing to ETH or altcoins magically. It could be into stablecoins. And so I think everyone's going to get into the trap of thinking, oh yeah, when this crashes, that we will get rich, all altcoins moon. When in reality, stablecoins are getting a lot of that liquidity and dominance of market share. And so, yeah, I think they'll trap both sides of retail. They're either not too bullish and get surprised by the upside, but also those that are extremely bullish but get underwhelmed by the top. You know? So yeah, only the best, guys, like everything points to the same hints. Like only the best altcoins are going to receive the most inflows. It's not going to be like 2021 where everything moons, guys. You have to be very, very selective. That's why I have a very, very concentrated portfolio of just very big bets and things I really believe in. And I've said this before, guys, but Ledger, man, I've been hard shilling the fuck out of Ledger. I've made so much informative, smart content on Ledger over the past few months since May when I first invested in it. Guys, I'm telling you, like I've been in the space for 4 years now, 24/7. I've made millions in the space before. Ledger AI is the best coin I've ever come across. Best in terms of everything, okay? So look at all the tweets I've done, all the videos I've done on it. Don't miss out on it, bro. Don't miss out. It's just, it's solving two of AI's biggest, pain points. And the beauty of it is that they're not just some random team, bro. They're not just some random team. Like, this is a legitimate startup, bro. And so, yeah, it's exciting, man. It makes me smile. But, yeah, it's going to do well. As I've said before in other videos, like, others' dominance was going to break out. It did. I was right. It broke out when nobody was really expecting it. I think same thing as others' total 3. I think everything's just going to end up topping at equilibrium at the mid-range of everything. I think that's the most max pain. It's like max pain enough to like get a lot of people sidelined and be a big enough of a pump, but not big enough of a pump to just get everybody rich and everybody just hodls to the top. Like I think everyone just gets trapped. So I think the mid-range makes a lot of sense because that still is very, very big gains. Like I think I wrote here, like, I wrote here, like, bro, to be fair, like even here from now, that's still 30% away. And others' dominance, that just represents the dominance, market share that everything other than top 10 has. And so if that goes up by 30%, that's actually, as I said here, that's fucking quite remarkable, man. 30% up is a lot of, gain in market share for small caps. So, yeah. As for Ethereum, Bitcoin, we're getting very close to like a lot of the overall levels where I think we'll have big reactions at. Even though we seem very, very close, which we are, you have to keep in mind, as I said, about 90% of the price action happens in 10% of the time, or 80% and 20% of the time. That's just how it works, okay? At the end of cycles. And so, yeah, time-wise, we're fucked. Like, we're almost there, guys. So get ready to start taking profits aggressively, moving that shit into the real world, getting your hands on like metals, a bit of defensive, intelligent real estate, maybe even private equity and some like very cash flowing, secure, safe businesses that are not going to go around. Recession. What's the word? Like recession-proof businesses as well. But yeah, overall, like these charts are looking good. Total 3, it's looking good. Yeah. So others, before a little thought I had was that this could be the macro top here. But the thing is, we've been slowly grinding up very quietly. And given that we just flipped this level into support so quietly and nobody's really fucking paying attention, I don't think this will end up being the macro top anymore. We're just too close to it and nothing's really gone crazy yet in terms of sentiment. And so what I'm thinking, which I drew here, is that I do think it will be a short-term reaction for sure. But I think the macro top makes more sense if it forms like a new pretty weak all-time high. And I'll show you right here. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, this would be a new all-time high, but barely, bro. I mean, barely. Like, it'd only be 13% up from the previous all-time high from December 2024. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. That's not even the all-time high. The all-time high is from 2021 here in November. That makes even more sense. Yeah. Because from the 2021 all-time high, it's only like 3% higher. Wow, that is a huge rug for fucking altcoin holders, bro. Everyone's going to be thinking they're going to get rich, and then the top just ends up being some like weak-ass like top here, a little bit above the previous cycle's highs. Wow, that makes way more sense. Okay, that's what I'm thinking, yeah. Most likely macro top. This is just 3% above previous cycle all-time high, Lamar. Perfect. That makes so much sense, bro. Yeah. Let me just draw out here on the chart, like, yeah. Yeah, wild, honestly. Yeah. I do find it interesting how do you notice how I drew out this area of supply here, and then the actual December top, local top in December, was actually tapping right into the supply area. That's really good confluence, man. That's like a very strong supply area, and so we can expect like price struggling to close above, and that's why it would make sense if the actual macro top max pain just ends up being like a wick or some like random body close right here above the previous all-time high, and then there you go. It's just basically like a swing failure pattern, honestly, at that point. Let me just draw that up here. Might just be a swing failure pattern. Top maybe a swing failure. May just be an SFP. Maybe a swing failure pattern. Yeah. Swing failure pattern I think would make a lot of sense. Price is going to struggle around here. And yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. It would be max pain, bro. Like, that'd be horrible, dude. But then again, dude, from here, right? That's still 56%. I mean, yeah, it's... The thing is, based on Elliott waves, it does look like the top. I mean, we have a clear, 1, 2. If we end up reacting at this very likely zone here, that'll be 3. Then a retrace 4, and then the top 5 at that new all-time high. Yeah, guys, like, it's pretty fucked, but that's it. That's the top, I think. And it makes sense. Again, it's going to be 30% above December's high, and only 3% above 2021's high, where everyone got rich in 2021 on paper, right? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I do think everything's about to go crazy, man. I think everything's about to go crazy. As for Coinbase, right, which is, at least on the Google Trends and like app download ranking side, it's a very, very retail indicative sign. And so what I was thinking is, and I'll tell you what I wrote here, I think it makes sense now actually if Coinbase doesn't end up making a new all-time high and instead just shows distributive price action. And I think that makes sense, especially if the S&P is topping, which it looks like it is, and I'll get into that. But I think it already formed a distributive swing failure pattern, right? The previous all-time high was here, back in 2021. Ahead of time, back when price was like around here, I anticipated this area being the top, and it was. I think so, yeah, it already formed a swing failure pattern on the previous all-time high. And now I'm thinking we just form a lower high from here, especially if crypto's likely to top soon. And yeah, like what I've realized is Coinbase doesn't need to form a new all-time high for the masses and for retail to get sucked in. Like what's more important to track now is Coinbase app download rankings and Google Trends data. So yeah, I think from a whale's point of view, now that they've successfully sold a new all-time high with that very clean, obvious swing failure pattern, I think now that crypto's about to pump, I think if I was a whale, what I'd do is I'd just sell at a lower top, like a lower high. I don't think I'd try to, I wouldn't try to pump it into price discovery now. I think I'd sell a lower high. I think it makes more sense. I also just realized, yeah, as I said here, that I think it formed a 3 drives top pattern. 1, 2, 3. And it just looks very distributive though, doesn't it? Like you have that 3 drives pattern, then you have kind of like this parabolic R curve. That's very, very distributive from my experience. Like this kind of price action, very, very distributive. Chop, 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 boom, crash down. So yeah, maybe even on Hood, Robin Hood. I think that would make sense. That could be confluence for like a crypto top coming in as well. I mean, the last top that Robin Hood had actually was when they did their IPO in 2021. Sure, it was like 5 months before the macro top. It was in August, this IPO. But yeah, I mean, right now, maybe even Robin Hood is doing a 3 drives top pattern, maybe. So, and it's it's still at like Fibonacci like levels where, yeah, it's not sure honestly. Yeah, not sure. Yeah. I mean, this is the previous all-time high here. So maybe, you know what? Maybe it's just a short-term three drives. Like maybe it's we hold here, or like a little dump below here, and then we continue up. Maybe, but this would only happen in my opinion if it outperforms the stock market, and I'm not sure why it may do that. I'm not sure why it would do that. I'm not sure. So at this stage, as for Robinhood, I have no idea. I don't know enough about it from a fundamental point of view in terms of its place in the market and its role, and what's most likely to happen from a whale's point of view. But based on the chart, purely that alone, this is a very, very big support level, which actually aligns with the previous all-time high. And so maybe it could get defended by whales. Yeah. So as I wrote here, like as long as it holds, new highs are technically possible. But yeah, as for the S&P, man, like we're only 3% away from the most likely area where it pivots. Only 3, like, as I drew here a while ago, I have this box that I drew here, this box, where there's a lot of confidence for top based on all of these fibs. And it also aligns with this very, very long-term absolute top fib from here. See here? Right here? Boom. And I drew that. Well, I drew it recently, but it's from the pivots from like the bear market bottom, dude. Like October 2022, this pivot here. It's been respecting those Fibonacci levels beautifully, right? In terms of the support here, in terms of resistance here. Front ran that resistance here a bit. But there's a lot of confluence, bro, for like this to be the top. 6.7K. And as I said, like in 2021, Bitcoin topped at 69K. So maybe full circle will be if the S&P tops at 6.9K. I wouldn't be surprised at all, bro, at all. And 6.9K is right here at the top of the box. So yeah, 3% is from the middle of that box, middle of that range. I'm telling you, man, like it's getting close. And as I said, like Speed shilling stocks to his audience through that Wall Street content, like that's a very big red flag. Meanwhile, the VIX, right, the volatility index, very important to track. That, I mean, I'm not sure if distributive is the word, but this looks like a pretty weak support level to me, like boom, 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 boom. I think, honestly, I mean, do I think it or is it just a bias? Let me see. Let me go on the weekly. I mean, higher time frames look shit. You know what? Higher time frames look shit. No, I can comfortably say, well, I don't know about comfortable, but I can reasonably say that without bias, I do think we're going to break down from here. And given that, as you know, like these purple lines is where like prices should be most euphoric. So yeah, like the lower this volatility index is, guys, basically the better risk assets are doing. And so, yeah, like here's the thing. It could just be a quick touch and then boom, that's the top. Or it could be we consolidate here for a while. I'm thinking a little bit of both. I'm thinking we're going to have really quick touches, but we still chill around here for a little bit, like a little bit. Even once the top is in, I still think we're going to chill here for a little bit. And so, yeah, that's why I have alerts set here as well, because that's really important context to have. Meanwhile, the US dollar, right, which I think it's going to take a while for things to properly unfold here. It's not going to be that easy. But we're definitely reaching a very, very important pivot point where on a very, very high time frame, we're at a diagonal support. Meanwhile, on a fairly high time frame as well, since the start of the year, we're at a diagonal resistance point as well. So the question is, will we break up or break down? I'm thinking the biggest max pain shakeup would be both. I'm thinking we dump here. We have a fake breakout. You know, I'll draw it. I'm thinking we dump, fake breakout, and then dump again. That's what I'm thinking. That's max pain. But given everything we're seeing, right, how gold is going to start outperforming, equities look shit. I don't think US dollar is going to receive the majority of inflows. As we know, the trust in US dollar is already weakening and weakening. I think, I think it's going to dump. Yeah. It's funny though, because if the US is successful with using stable coins to really fix their debt, which is what America's hinting at, and even opposing countries like Russia have like suggested that that's their plan, right? And it's not that ethical and legit, but like that's what they're planning on doing. What I'm thinking is maybe before then is when the US dollar will crash a lot, right? Maybe, I don't know, maybe it will take 5, 10, 15 years even. Oh, it'll probably take 5 to 10 years for them to really implement that whole stablecoin thing, honestly, into the economy. But my point is, maybe that's when all of stagflation and depression will happen. But then by the time they have that set up, they will actually fix themselves, and then the US dollar will recover. Plausible? I mean, we go on the monthly chart. It looks like we should really go back down to like here. We should go back down to 84. Did I already have that level drawn out? No, I didn't. Okay. But yeah, it really does look like absolute macro bottom here. So yeah, I do think the US dollar would be good to get in around 84, 85 cents. Wait, cents or dollars? Oh, dollars? Wait, I'm confused. Okay, dollars. I don't fucking know. 84 to 85. But I think until then, honestly, it makes sense for this to crash, for metals to receive a lot of the inflows. And then by the time they finally have all that stablecoin shit sorted out, that's when the US dollar will recover and actually strengthen, because the trust will resume back into the economy. Thanks to that, I guess, you know, that stablecoin fucking reserve system they figure out or some shit. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a very clean, obvious chart. We had this consolidation here, pump, consolidation, parabolic top, distribution, lower high, shakeout. Now the real breakdown has just begun, in my opinion. It has only just begun. So I do think my bias is the US dollar goes down a lot. Given that equities also look very shit, that points 100% to metals receiving inflows in. I'm not sure if that's what stagflation is, like that exact scenario that I just mentioned, but yeah, things definitely look pretty fucked. It reminds me of, I think it would be stagflation, because it reminds me of the 70s when the dollar got removed off the gold standard. The dollar, in purchasing power at least, it fucking crashed the fuck ton. Meanwhile, gold mooned. And I'm pretty sure in equities, that was called the lost decade. I'm pretty sure equities throughout that time period just went sideways and didn't fucking do anything. Like, you just lost money if you're holding it, basically. Relative to gold, at least. And so, again, ratios are very, very awesome and important. I recently added BTC relative to gold. And that looks very, very distributive. You know, this is the macro top from 2021. We barely closed above it back in, when was that? Let me look at that chart real quick. Yeah, that was back in December, January, right? We barely were able to close above it. And then a huge red flag for me is that Bitcoin made a new all-time high in August, but relative to gold, it did a lower high. And so that just shows weakening strength. Strength weakening. That shows strength weakening. That lower high was perfectly at the 2021 high. So yeah, this looks very distributive, dude. It looks like almost like a head and shoulders as well. Short term as well, we have this trend line here. I think we'll have a bit of a pump short term here, which makes a lot of sense, given that I think crypto's about to send for a couple months, probably 4 to 7 weeks, whatever. And so yeah, then that'll be it. But it's interesting because Ethereum can still outperform Bitcoin for a while, even if Bitcoin's topped. That's the interesting part. It doesn't have to be perfectly in sync, I've realized. And so one thing I wrote here is that since I think metals will outperform the market, I think that means that when Ethereum and Bitcoin look topped relative to gold and silver, right? Top relative to metals, that's when it's a good time to exit. And so, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. If metals are going to outperform, well, then the way to catch the top of crypto is just by seeing when crypto looks top relative to those outperforming assets. And so Ethereum relative to gold actually looks pretty decent. I think given that Ethereum's going to go into price discovery, this will actually break out finally. It will stop doing lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. And I think will be a very short-lived kind of like new, swing high, above here, probably here, which will still be below all-time highs from 2021. So yeah, it's interesting. Ethereum is obviously considered the digital silver pretty much. So compared to actual medical, physical metal silver, I think it's fascinating that the Fibonacci levels, right? The macro top here is just barely a new all-time high above 2021 highs. It's like 2% higher. I think that would be max pain. I think that makes perfect sense to me. If that ends up being the macro high. But then again, maybe not. Maybe it ends up being just a lower high here, below March highs, which I guess would make sense if altcoins and ETH are very lackluster and underwhelming relative to that big wave we had last year in March. Personally, my bias is I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I want to get fucking rich. That's my bias, if I'm thinking out loud. But yeah, I do think, I'm thinking this will be a short-term reaction. I do definitely think we're going to react here. I'm thinking retrace. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. There you go. I think that makes more sense. Oops. Yeah, I'm thinking we definitely do react here. It just looks like too much obvious supply here. Yeah, we react, and then we do pump to around here. I think that makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, always look at ratios, guys, because it's fascinating. So yeah, ETH relative to silver paints a similar picture, but it's more bullish actually. A double top or slight macro, it could be a double top or just a macro slight all-time high. It makes perfect sense. The fib levels have been respected so far, which is very good confluence. That'll work out. And so, yeah, it does look like long-term metals and commodities are going to outperform all the markets, but not yet. And it's interesting because Bitcoin looks questionable relative to commodities. It looks fairly topped, but Ethereum relative to commodities doesn't. It looks very, very bullish, honestly. I don't think we'll just top here at 46 billion right here. I actually think we're going to outperform here. So yeah, that's really cool to see. That's interesting as well. Fascinating thing, as I told you already, is that stocks relative to gold are doing very, very shit since 2015 and look like they're going to continue to because the chart still looks horrendous. So yeah, another thing that I found really interesting is that commodities relative to stocks. Let me just get that up real quick. BCom, basket of commodities relative to the S&P. Yeah, this looks pretty bottomed out, honestly. This looks pretty bottomed out. I mean, you can see the Elliott waves ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think you can estimate that this could be a very clean double bottom, right? Huge pole here, W here, W bottom, and then a huge potential leg back up to the mid range, and then maybe even to the top. And yeah, the mid range is 0.35 here. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's really cool to see. That commodities are going to outperform equities, which again points to stagflation, it points to the 70s kind of era, it points to metals outperforming as well alongside it. People are going to want real physical hard assets. That's where all the trust is going to really be in the economy. And so, yeah, man. Interestingly enough as well, the European dollar to me looks insanely strong. It looks like a fucking shit coin that's just going to absolutely like fucking 20x. I'm joking. It's obviously not going to 20x, but you get my point. Like, it looks very bullish, dude. Like, look at it, man. Look at it. Okay, it had this huge pump since 02. I guess consolidation, distribution-ish. Yeah, breakdown, right? And now I would call this accumulation. I would call this. Yeah, I mean, you can see it's in like a very clear like range, like wedge, right? Even if we draw like a box. Let me draw like a box. To me, wait, what? Okay, that was weird. Let me draw a box. Yeah, so from here to here, maybe here to here. Okay, that's a very clear accumulation to me. That looks like accumulation to me. The mid-range being around here, whatever. That's a very, very clear accumulation to me. And so, yeah, man, this does look very bullish. A one-to-one extension from here to here goes to about around here. I mean, yeah, the Elliott waves look very clean as well. We had that first pump here, retrace 2. Now I'm thinking it's going to break out of this range here, especially if the US dollar starts breaking down as well. That money has to flow somewhere as well, part of that money. Breakout here, big supply area right here. I think we'll drop and then boom, straight up again. Probably entering a slight price discovery here, like a slight new all-time high, boom, boom, boom here. I think that makes so much sense. I love this game. This makes so much sense. I'm probably going to move a lot of my profits after this bull run into the European dollar because the US dollar does look shit. So a lot of my, fiats and liquidity, I guess, just liquidity in general, I'll keep it there. Oh, so sick, bro. Isn't this game just so sick, man? Like, once you start playing beyond crypto and just the overall world, like, this is how you fucking win long term, dude. So sick. I think it makes sense because it's funny, like, I've realized that consensus over the past couple of years has been, oh, Europe is so fucked. Europe is fucked. Da 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 da. And I feel like that's been a way stronger narrative relative to America's so fucked. Yada yada yada. America's so fucked. Like, I think obviously more and more people are starting to think that in America, and I think elites are noticing that's why they want to crash things soon and front run retail, I guess. But with Europe, it's like consensus is way too much. Europe is fucked. I think that's what's going to take a lot of people by surprise. Europe's going to blossom while the US does shit for a while, probably. And so, yeah, it looks very beautiful, dude. The euro looks very beautiful. Interestingly enough, the altcoin season index is 20 higher than it was 11 days ago, so we're in a clear trend now. Also, I found this part fascinating. The fact that they're just randomly, out of the blue, suddenly, the US Labor Department is basically saying, oh, you know what, guys, low-key, like a lot of the data we've been giving you is just bullshit. And it's like inaccurate. That's not coincidence, bro. Like, it's not coincidence that they're planting these seeds and ideas and little ideas in your head around the top of the market. Because remember, whales always need a reason to crash the markets. They always need a reason to do it. They're not just going to randomly do it. And so, again, tops don't form one day to the other. Usually they got to plant seeds in your head, ideas in your head. And yeah, so I find that interesting. What I write here in my notes, it's signaling a loss of faith in official data. It creates a plausible excuse for a market sell-off, of course, which is going to be after the top. Market tops really just happen. They're always accompanied by stories that rationalize downside. It fits the script. The economy is weaker than reported, data's unreliable, time to de-risk. It adds confidence to a lot of the top signals we've been watching elsewhere in terms of everything that we've been seeing. And so it's definitely an early to confirming stage that the top is it's in extremely soon, bro. Like extremely soon. I think the nails in the caskets will be once we start to see very, very similar narratives to COVID being everywhere on the media about stimulus checks, about what did I write here? About, interest rate cuts, right? Especially if they do it very aggressively, if they do some crazy interest rate cuts. But yeah, like this, again, is going to remind people of COVID, dude. A V-shaped recovery. Obviously, COVID was extremely strong and it lasted. I think this is going to be very short-lived. They're not going to make it that easy. And so I've had this drawn here since like February. These notes here. Fucking hell, can I click it? Yeah, I've had that drawn since February. So yeah, man, I think it makes a lot of sense. Fascinating game, isn't it? Overall, risk assets are at highs. Meanwhile, metals and commodities look like they're going to break out, which means the rotation's coming. Yields are falling. Rate cut odds are basically 100% certain. Meanwhile, simultaneously, there's signs that the economy is actually weaker than it should be, which shows that the elites are just taking advantage of dumb money, I guess, and just pumping the market. And they know that beneath the surface, like it's not going to last. They know it's cooked. So yeah, it's a late cycle mix. Macro slowing. Policymakers are. What does that even mean? Because this was a summary from chat. What does that even mean? Yeah, liquidity wants to float, but the economy isn't. It's fucked. Okay, it's fucked. So yeah, gold is going to enter a regime. It already has, but so far it's been silent. I think it's going to be really aggressive and stuff soon. So yeah, there you go. That's basically much everything. Yeah, these are just some other notes you can look into afterwards. Keep in mind, guys, all of this is on my link tree. Everything, okay? So I'll show you. So everything I'm going through right now, it's on Drae's de-risking and psych mastery playbook. You can click here, okay? And all this, you have access to it for free right now. So you can see here, these are all my notes that I look at. These are notes, whatever. Here is where I actually do the weekly tracking, and I write some notes here as well. And here's like what I'm going through right now is literally right here. So and as I said on my Telegram channel, like you could have looked at this stuff before I even posted this video. You could have looked at it beforehand, like live. In fact, you could have looked at it live. Like every day, you can just check this as I add notes to it. Keep in mind, like these actual weekly things, I do it all in one day. It takes me a bunch of hours, but throughout the week, I do these little notes, and sometimes I even add a couple notes here and there to this as well. So definitely keep an eye on that. Again, if you've missed, I also have this about me section as well, about the projects I've worked with and advised, my history in the space, my experiences, whatever. I think it's a cool little feature that I want to add for you guys to get to know me a bit more. But yeah, yeah. So look through these notes as well, okay, guys? Scroll down to the bottom, look through these notes. I can't be asked going through them now. But what else real quick? Yeah, meme coins look like they're primed to go up as well, which will be a classic top signal once they do. TAR, it looks like it's going to pump really, really aggressively. That's going to be good for Ledger. Tesla's slowly mooning. People aren't really noticing it. I think that actual top, maybe here or here or here, that will be once retail euphoric participation is in. Other than that, we made it, boys. We made it. That's it. That's it. We finally went through everything. Wow. Okay, I'm glad because I have a lot of other work and stuff to do here in Bali. So there you go, guys. We got through everything. Isn't that fucking isn't that awesome, huh? Isn't that awesome? I'm happy. All right, we got through everything. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, amazing. We got through everything. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Oh yeah, don't fade Ledger. Don't fade Ledger. But yeah, overall, I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely subscribe to my my Telegram channel here. Also follow, my socials like my Instagram, right? If you ever need me, you can DM me on Telegram. No GD bullshit proposals or anything, just intelligent conversations only. Wow, we got through everything. Thanks so much for watching. If you did, well done. I think you have a really good understanding of the market as a whole. I think you have a better understanding of how whales and smart money think. You have a better understanding of where long-term the market is heading as well. And so, yeah, if you watch this in GG, thank you very much. Talk soon. Don't fade Drae.